Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. I was hoping that this khatara would serve as a reminder, as a warning for us. A reminder and a warning for us. Some of you may have seen recently in this video that's been circulating individuals basically likening Islam, opening of Mecca, Fatah Mecca, to fascism. And it's being viewed all around the world, and people are paying attention to it. For me, it was more of disbelief that somebody could say something about this religion and what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam taught us in the lessons that he received from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Jibreel alayhi salam. It reminded me of the ayah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Anfal, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu. Remember, just a few days ago, Teacher Rashid was telling us in his khatira that the Sahaba, when they used to hear Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, automatically bells started ringing and their attention was caught because something big is being mentioned here. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, istajibu lillahi wa lirrasul. Respond to the call of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger. إِذَا دَعَاكُمْ, they call you. What did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describe this da'wah? What's the specific word that He chose in this point, in this ayah, to describe the da'wah that He is calling all of mankind to follow? Very beautiful word. لِمَا يُحْيِيكُمْ. The da'wah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the da'wah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as he received it from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, لِمَا يُحْيِيكُمْ. Respond to what gives you life. That's the superficial meaning, or the ma'na zahir. The underlying meaning, according to the tafsir of Ibn Kathir, أي لِمَا يُصْلِحُكُمْ. What reforms you. And I was thinking, so you have an individual who's saying that Islam and the Fatah of Mecca, the opening of Mecca, was pretty much likened to fascism. It is some form of fascism. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that this da'wah, lima yuhikum, this is what's reforming you. So let's look at the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and just analyze it. So basically all you have to do is just use your mind. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam bring something to you, just evaluate it objectively. When we look at the da'wah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, there was 4 broad reforms that we can say that Islam brought to this world. Number 1, there was political reform. At a time when colonial powers or the superpower was in charge, when they would go to a land, they would basically take everything that it had. It took all of its goods. The people that were natives of the land had no rights. They were oppressed. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in one simple hadith, and there's many ahadith and many instances that we can refer to, but just one simple one that we can look at is when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was discussing Sulh al-Fudul, the Pact of al-Fudul, in which the Arab tribes used to come together and they used to give basically an oath and honor that we're going to fight for the oppressed and we're going to fight against injustice. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what did he say? لو دعيت لاستجبت. صدق Rasulullah. If I were to be called to Sulh al-Fudul, I would go. And so that's number 1, political reform. Number 2, financial reform. Probably the biggest financial reform that we saw in the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was that against the interest. It was a system that's corrupt, and it's still corrupt. And it's so corrupt to the point where the English term, one of the meanings that they use to describe interest is usury. This is a common term that will be used when discussing interest-based systems. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Qur'an that leave the interest alone. And if you're not, then this is basically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is waging war against this action. And basically this term is being used to show that this is such a big thing that people continue to get rich with no reason. There's absolutely no risk that's being assumed. And so the end result is that the rich continue to get richer and the poor continue to get poor. And so that's number 2. financial reform. Number 3, social reform. When we look during the time of Rasulullah ﷺ, not only in Arabia, but in the rest of the world, a woman was considered to be a piece of property. She wasn't considered a human. So when a husband died, she was basically passed on to his son. A woman had no right for inheritance. This was the first time, this was like completely foreign language to people at that time, that a woman is to receive inheritance from her parents when they pass away. It was foreign to people to see a black man being equated to whoever was there, or a slave in general. And that's why we see the tahdheeb, the reform was so strong on the hearts of people that Umar radiallahu anhu, when he used to describe Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he would say, أَعْتَقَ سَيِّدُنَا سَيِّدَنَا, that our master Abu Bakr freed our master Bilal. Nobody ever thought this would ever happen. Nobody ever assumed that something like this could happen, but it happened. And so we had social reform. The fourth and the last thing that you could say that Islam brought, and again, this you can analyze it from many different angles, but this was just something that occurred to me, in general terms, was moral reform. And there's many things that we look inside, in terms of zina, and when we look at homosexuality, just like Sheikh said the other day, that when we talk about homosexuality, people are sick. Don't even think about it twice. People try to say, well, they're humans and they were created differently in genetics and etc. etc. They're sick. Okay? And Islam came as a means to repair the moral values of the land, wherever you may be. Islam came to reform that. And so the reason for me mentioning this was, at certain points in times, someone feels very angry, very upset when people make claims about Islam. And it serves as a reminder that وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ إِن كُنْتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. Although the wave against Islam is very hot right now, but don't despair. Remember, وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَ تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. In the Qur'an, in between those two covers of the Qur'an and what's in between it, the answer is there. And that's a reminder to you. But I'm also wanting to warn myself and warn you that don't let this opportunity, this great opportunity, mashallah, our Shaykh is reading and he's putting in a lot of effort to read a juz' a day. When you come to this masjid, understand what's being read. When you leave this masjid, leave a different person. Leave as a different person than when you originally came in. Abdullah bin Mas'ud used to describe the way that the Sahaba used to look at the Qur'an. When they would hear ayahs, they would take no more than 10 ayahs. They would go and they would implement it. They would try to understand it. They would use it in their life and then come back to the next 10 ayahs. And they would continue so on and so forth as much as they could. And so when you come to the masjid, don't come just as a ritual. Don't come just to join the rest of the group. Come to understand what's being given to you. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just like the ayah in Surah Al-Isra, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is directly speaking to you. How much more of an honor is it for you as a creation in which you are nothing. We are nothing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but He still chooses to speak to us, and He speaks to us in the best of ways. He lifts us up. Remember this, because right now the wave against Islam is very hot, and the fitna is coming. When people try to come and tell us what Islam is like, you have to understand what Islam is in order to be able to delineate, are these people saying something true or not true? Because believe me, there are many people out there that are claiming to be experts in Islam, and they're coming and telling you, you've been living as a Muslim for 30 and 40 years of your life, and they haven't lived Islam a day, and they're telling you, I think this is what Islam is. And people, believe it or not, are falling into this trap every day. So make an effort to understand what's being read, and leave a better person. Every time you come to the salah, leave a better person after understanding and hearing the Qur'an and the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made a promise to every single one of you that if you're to hold on to the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, لن تضلوا بعدي أبدا. You will never be led astray. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يجعلنا من الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه أولئك لهم الأمن وهم مهتدون.